Stugotz here for Stamps.com. These days, you can practically get everything on demand, like our podcast. Listen whenever you want, when it's convenient for you. Did you know you can even get postage on demand? That's right. All you need is Stamps.com. Been using them for years. Absolutely love it. So convenient, so great. With Stamps.com, you can access all the service of the post office right from your desk. Buy and print real U.S. postage for any letter or any package. All available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just click, print, mail, and you are done. Stamps.com will even send you a digital scale. You can weigh your letters and packages and print the exact amount of postage every single time. Guys, no more trips to the post office because you could do it all at home with Stamps.com. That's the beauty. Right now, go to Stamps.com, use code Dan for this special offer. It's a great one. 4-week trial, which includes postage and a digital scale. Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com before you do anything else. Click on the radio microphone at the top of the homepage. Type in Dan. That's Stamps.com. Enter code Dan. Stugotz here. There's nothing small about your business. It takes a lot of hard work, and it makes a huge difference. As a thank you during Dell's annual sale, Dell Small Business is offering up to 40% off select PCs with Intel Core processors. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with a small business technology advisor today. You'll get tech advice and one-on-one partnership to help your business grow. Call 877-BUY-DELL. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
We have made a few observations official. The Cardinals and the Bills are bad. Everyone else is in the mix. So we can eliminate two teams now. Two of them gone. After 2 weeks, you can say it. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Buffalo and Arizona are not going to be one of those teams that goes from 0-2 to good or playoffs.
But you're willing to, reserve judgment on the Giants and some teams like that? You're good there?
This is what I would say. Guillermo, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Just, can we mathematically eliminate the Cardinals and the Bills today? Now, everyone else is in the mix, and so this is what I want to talk to you about, because I want you guys to feel what it feels like to be a long-suffering fan, because Stugotz has come in here, and I'm not kidding you. He did not say hello to me. I've not seen him all weekend. The first words I heard from him were muttered under his breath with a lot of curses. I don't understand. We never got any timeouts. How can I never have a coach that knows how to manage a clock? Bill Belichick's always got 3 timeouts. Even after he's used a couple of them, he's always got, it's like he's muttering under his breath.
Yeah.
It's like, why does Belichick always have 3 timeouts, even after he's used 3 timeouts?
Put that on the poll. Does Bill Belichick always have 3 timeouts? Because he does.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Anyway, Stugotz was raving. Stugotz, who should know better by now.
Yeah. They hook me in every year, man.
Stugotz, it's amazing, okay? Listen, there is no truer formula around here than Stugotz believes in the Jets and I puncture his balloon. Like, that has been 15 years we've been playing that note. Like, that's one note, and it's one of our greatest hits. People recognize it instantaneously.
I do appreciate. Normally you do it on Sunday. You knew what kind of mood I was in yesterday. You'll just start sending me texts that simply read Jets with a couple of exclamation points.
Well,
you laid off yesterday, so thank you.
Well, but that's because the Jets and the Dolphins.
Yesterday hurt, man.
They're just the Spider-Man meme. The Jets and the Dolphins should have spent all 3 hours on the red zone just pointing at each other. They've been each other for the last 15 years. And every once in a while, the Dolphins sneak up there and take a 20-12 game that no one else in the league wants to even watch.
I have been saddled with this for so many years that I am stuck watching a Jet game when a Chiefs-Steeler game is going on or that Packers game is going on. You're right. It's depressing.
Well, this is great, too, though, because Stugotz, as you know, is an expert on all things. So he thought he had a quarterback after week 1 in Sam Darnold and 10 years of greatness at the position because they opened with 48 points against the Lions. But as we've seen with Stugotz, he's not exactly much of a visionary, because I believe this sound right here will show you from the lips of Stugotz that sometimes his analysis isn't great.
Go ahead, Andy Reid. I dare you to go 14-2 and allow Alex Smith to leave Arrowhead Stadium to leave Kansas City. Go ahead, I dare you. Because of Patrick Mahomes. Because you think you could turn Patrick Mahomes into something that Alex Smith is not. Alex Smith is a very good quarterback. The audacity, first off, to do this to Alex Smith, who's been very good and loyal to Andy Reid and won him a lot of football games, to dangle Patrick Mahomes out there because Andy Reid thinks he's some sort of quarterback whisperer, which he is not, by the way. He is not, because if he was, Alex Smith would be better than he's been the last few years. So I dare.
That's a record for contradiction.
It's on Andy Reid.
That is the
only reason Alex Smith is not better is Andy Reid.
That sets a world record for Stugotz not paying attention to any of the things he said the sentence before.
Nailed it.
The great thing right now, and the two stories today, correct? I know that many of you might say Jacksonville, but the two stories today are Bucks and Chiefs, right? Those are the two where you're like, hey, wait a minute. In this 3-yard league, there are two teams that are throwing the ball all over the place and doing some of those 60-yard play things.
Right.
And everyone else is, don't turn the ball over, rub route, bubble screen. Those two teams are like, nah. How about we just bludgeon you with a blunt instrument? How about 70 yards of this?
The crazy thing is, I think the people that believed in Patrick Mahomes expected something close to this or something, like this, right? Him throwing the ball downfield, using all the weapons that they have. No one expected this from Ryan Fitzpatrick. How could you?
Well,
nobody.
I always wonder how the skill guys make a quarterback, because the Vikings now look better than they did last year because their quarterback is better than the parade of people that were having success behind them. But look at what Arizona is with Sam Bradford now. If you want to see how not having skill people will just make you look incompetent.
Right.
It'll make you look. He's got Larry Fitzgerald.
And David Johnson.
Yeah.
But Larry Fitzgerald was hurt yesterday.
I mean, he wasn't hurt the first week. I don't really know what's going on in Arizona outside of just Bruce Arians in the booth.
No, just eliminate them. Let's continue to talk about the Bucs and the Chiefs, because now this is the only way. We are at the only way that Fitzpatrick could take that job. It's the exact set of things that needed to happen. It's not just Tampa winning, because he wouldn't have kept that job if they were winning 12-9. It's that way. It's that, wait, Jameis had those same receivers last year, and they didn't look like that. Jameis had all those same guys running around, and Jameis is really inaccurate. And Fitzpatrick isn't really inaccurate. He's just really disaster play. He's actually he throws a nice deep ball. And these guys are running wide open. Deshaun Jackson and Mike Evans are running wide open on everybody.
And O.J. Howard. I mean, it's amazing. They have skill position players, though, to your point. They do. They have good skill position players.
Well, now you have a skill talent in O.J. Howard, where last year you weren't so sure what you had there, and you signed Deshaun Jackson for Jameis Winston, and they could never get on the same page. At least you have a quarterback there that's giving your skill guys a chance.
Sometimes when you lock up a lot of money in a first-round pick, you have to sort of ride it out. And Ryan Fitzpatrick is almost the bearded symbolic face of nomadic quarterback. And the set of things that have happened in Tampa are exactly what you need to happen so that Jameis Winston comes back and doesn't have a job anymore, which is he gets 3 games for character stuff. And now here comes the Harvard guy.
Right.
Gunslinging and playing the most exciting brand of football in the league that's not Chiefs football.
Well, even yesterday, Dan, Patrick Mahomes averaged 11.6 yards per attempt, and Ryan Fitzpatrick averaged over 12. He's more exciting. He's going down the field more than Patrick Mahomes right now.
The skill guys for those two teams, I feel like you guys knew Jacksonville was good already, so that's one of the storylines today. But I feel like Jacksonville should have beaten the Patriots on the road in the playoffs last year, dominated them thoroughly, and at some point the Patriots have to age, and when it ages, that's what it's going to look like against a good defense on the road.
How many years in different teams are we going to talk ourselves into, hey, Ryan Fitzpatrick, maybe the guy? He's had moments in Cincinnati. He's had moments in Buffalo.
Jets.
He's had moments in Tennessee. He's had moments in Houston where he had a 7-touchdown game. He had moments with the Jets, and now he's having a moment, and Deshaun Jackson is making him wear his post-game outfit because Deshaun Jackson wants him to be the guy. He's only 35. Let's go!
That post-game look, man, what was that? How would one explain? Let's try this, Stugotz, because this isn't going to be easy. Let's just say that not everyone is watching us right now on ESPN Ooze, that most of the people are listening. And let's say that some of them don't even know what Ryan Fitzpatrick looks like. Can you explain to them? How would you explain to them, describe to them what was happening in the postgame with Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Conor McGregor. That would be the best way.
Okay, Conor McGregor, but in all his sort of Irish pimp gear, correct? It's not just Conor McGregor with the beard and the face. It's also just wearing sort of a vest with no shirt on.
Which is Conor McGregor when he's promoting a fight. So Conor McGregor pre-fight press conference.
Is there anyone in sports less like Conor McGregor than Ryan Fitzpatrick?
This FitzMagic is fun. He's beard kissing his teammates, running up to other bearded teammates, and they're rubbing chins on each other. Deshaun's all in. This is Deshaun Jackson's
Deshaun
guy.
has chosen his quarterback.
He gave him his ice.
I know.
He gave him his ice.
The bad game's coming. I mean, it's
course
coming.
it is.
And Deshaun will turn on him so
Of course.
quickly.
Yes, very quickly. But for right now, Deshaun Jackson is dominating the league again, so of course he sides with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Dan Le Batard.
How is it that you guys are viewing the Game Show Network as some kind of sad?
Stugotz.
I love the Game Show Network.
Who
It's so
doesn't?
fun.
Who doesn't?
What
I don't even understand what's happening.
What shows does she watch?
It's all she watches.
All of them? She watches
all of the shows.
But Mike, it's so wonderfully mindless. Like, it's got to be, you don't have to do anything. You could just sit there watching television and not think about anything.
Maybe you're cutting right to it here. It's just she's only watching mindless entertainment.
But as an escape hatch, you can't say this to the people listening right now and not accuse them of the same thing. They're not even watching game shows. They're listening to us talk on the radio about somebody watching game shows.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We will make fun of Stugotz throughout the show for the performance by the New York Jets yesterday. But first, we have to laser focus in on the misery of one Mike Ryan. Mike Ryan has been a Browns fan all his life. He has been a Browns fan even though he is a Miami Cuban because his grandma took him one time to the dollar store and they bought plates and the only ones that were available were the Browns. If a plate had been there that had been available that had been the Patriots, Mike Ryan would be a Patriots fan and it would be an entirely insufferable experience. Instead, it's a lot of fun to laugh at him because they have won one game in 2 years before this one, and this was a season of expectation. And they have...
The expectation was to win a few.
The expectation...
They're exceeding 2 weeks in.
The expectation was to not be terrible, but this team... The first 2 games of the season, the Cleveland Browns should have won both of those games.
Yep.
The Cleveland Browns are 0-1-1. It's like if I showed you those 2 games, you'd be like, and what is the record of this team after these 2 games? If I didn't put the score up at any point and just eliminated the scoring place. I just said, what is the record of this team? You're like, the Browns are 2-0, man. They're running roughshod over people.
And they'd be the Steelers and the Saints. I mean, how about that?
Right. That's what we could be if they were any semblance of not losers. If they were any semblance of competent. We would be talking about, hey now, the 2-0 Cleveland Browns. Are they the 2-0 Bengals? Are they the 2-0 Dolphins? We'd be saying Browns in the mix.
I preferred what it was last year in terms of heartbreak because you could always count on the Browns just doing the wrong thing. You could never count on them doing the right thing and then the wrong thing.
Right.
So they would never really build your hopes up to the point where they'd miss an extra point or get a block in the back that pushes you out of field goal range or throw a costly interception. I mean, this is nightmarish. I don't know what I've done.
Mike,
What have I done?
Hold on. Tell me. I need to know some things about this kicker because you have to understand. My people have been underrepresented in this sport ever since Tony Gonzalez left. Every once in a while, we'll get somebody who's standing outside of the Steeler locker room, and you'll realize, hey, is his name Villanueva? But most Latin guys watching football aren't getting a lot of compadres out there with them.
Yeah, you talking about Zane Gonzalez?
Who is that?
This chump.
Who was that? Why did that happen? How long has he been their kicker?
The guy's about to be unemployed.
How long has he been their kicker? Unbelievable. You're on the road against the Saints, and all you need is a couple of kicks, and a couple of short kicks
in a dome.
He
got his kick blocked. That would have beat Pittsburgh last week too.
All right, but listen to me. Hold on. This is quantifiable. Okay,
I love football. Man.
Hold on, man. It's great, isn't it?
You shut up.
You shut up.
I'll see you on Thursday.
Yes.
We're favored by 3.5 against the Jets.
Oh, I'm telling you. First off, the Browns are in the mix, and secondly, I'm telling you, they are saving this win for Thursday night against the New York Jets. It's going to be perfect.
This is Zane Gonzalez's second season with the Cleveland Browns. You're just telling me that Zane Gonzalez suffers from OCD?
Yeah, he's Mexican-American, and he has OCD, which I would imagine missing a bunch of kicks is not great if you have
All right,
OCD.
well, listen. Well, this is... Thank you, Guillermo. Yes, that's good analysis. Yes, you would imagine that.
Well, there is a person here, so I'm not going to go too hard on
I'm not making fun of him. This is what I'm making fun of. I'm making fun of the eternal echoing misery of the Cleveland Browns fan in this respect, Mike. Yesterday, and there were a bunch of kicks missed, and this game was won by Cleveland, and all they needed was their field goal kicker or their kicker to make an extra point is all they needed. And they couldn't get it.
Which deflated the team, which led to Drew Brees going down the field.
But hold on, without giving you even game
Probably
specifics.
would have happened anyway, though.
This is how losery the loser Browns are right here. There is empirically, scientifically, nothing in sports that has been more improved over the last 40 years than the accuracy of kickers. That's across sports. It can be quantified. Nothing is more certain than the improved accuracy of kickers. Nothing has evolved more efficiently than that in that sport. And the Browns needed the easiest of kicks yesterday, and he kept missing them. That's
Browns football.
That is Browns football.
And it wasn't even the biggest loss of the weekend for the Browns.
Because they lost Josh Gordon?
This Josh Gordon situation.
It's crazy.
I mean, everyone's going to say Brown's going to Brown, and yes, he's going to the Patriots, and he's going to be amazing. But honestly, how many chances does one guy have to get through several regimes? They simply can't count on this person. They can't. He's let him down at every turn. He's gotten multiple chances a year.
It's crazy. I don't think that I can think of a player who got more chances than this one. Maybe Steve Howe. Was Steve Howe suspended, 11 times from Major League Baseball?
Something like that, yeah. But Steve Howe wasn't this talented, I don't think.
No, but I think if I'm not mistaken that Steve Howe was suspended something like 11 times. But in terms of not being able to trust a player, Josh Gordon, given his lack of availability while physically healthy but not mentally capable, he is as unreliable as anyone we've seen across sports. It's and unreliable in the way that gives off addiction. Unreliable in a way that you're like, oh, like Steve Howe. He can't help himself. He's clearly addicted to this. He can't stop doing it.
Josh Gordon is probably the case study when it comes to wasted talent. I was here and Mike Florio was on the Part of My Take podcast, and he rattled off a stat that was unbelievable. In 14 games, with mostly Brandon Whedon as his quarterback, 14, he had more yards in a single season than Randy Moss or Terrell Owens ever had in 16-game seasons. This is the biggest
with Brandon Whedon as his quarterback, he led the league in receiving. He led the league in receiving with 1,600, 1,700 yards.
It's the biggest example of a wasted talent. And it's just so the Browns. We're cursed. And I know there's other fans out there that lament they're cursed. Give me game after game.
No, you're actually cursed. It can be proven. Mort is reporting it. Chris Mortensen is reporting that the Browns are officially cursed.
7 times for Steve Howe. 7 times.
Guys, the Browns left the NFL. They moved to Baltimore. They won 2 Super Bowl championships. My guys came back in 99. I'm off to the best start since 04. I don't have a win.
Stugotz.
Yes.
The pass that Tyrod Taylor threw on 4th and 5. So much guts to throw that perfect ball for the game into the end zone from 50 yards away. You have to make the kick after that.
I ain't feeling bad for anyone, man. I'm a Jets fan.
Gonzalez, you're a stain upon our people.
Dan Lebatard.
Let's get it crunk upon them, hop them on them, in the dancer, we got you open on the floating for the
Stugotz.
Don't need no direction, holleration, so just stand for me. Let's get it percolated, while you're ready, so just stand for me. Everybody, they're on love, 'cause you know not ready to
This is the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So Guillermo comes in here during the break. Guillermo, what are you laughing about, Guillermo?
I never know. I can't trust you, really, is what it is. And I never know where you're going to go. And it's usually to bury me somewhere. So it's just kind of like a waiting game to see which direction we're headed in.
You're a rising executive at ESPN. This show has been wildly successful, and everybody around this show has become a rising executive. And that rising executive just came in here during the break, and what he said to me was, and it's the only thing he said to me all day, it's, have you heard Mahomes speak? And so, in that vein, Guillermo, where were you trying to lead me? Because I left the room and didn't listen to you anymore, and get used to that as a rising executive.
Mm-hmm.
I just, he had a big game yesterday, and you cover sports allegedly, so I was wondering if you had heard him speak or not yet, because he has a delightful voice.
Yeah, I don't like listening to the quarterbacks and the coaches speak in press conferences. So delightful voice is what you were going for? You came in here to tell me that Mahomes has a delightful voice?
It's somewhere, I'd say, between Luck and Orgeron.
Ooh,
like, it's a good voice for our show, I think. Would you like to hear him speak?
Well, hold on. Is it fair to say you're not expecting that voice to come out of that body or that person? Is it fair to say that?
Yes, that's fair.
So it's like Tyson? It's Tyson where the voice doesn't match the menace. You're expecting, because of how Patrick Mahomes plays, for him to sound how?
Not the way he sounds.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and check in with Patrick Mahomes here. How does he sound?
Yeah, I think it just speaks to the weapons that we have on offense. They can't stop everybody. So for me, it's just about getting it to the guy that has the man-to-man coverage or has the open area. And so those guys were getting open today. The offensive line was blocking great, so it was making my job a lot easier.
That's legitimately shocking.
Yep. He sounds like Scott Farrell. He sounds like a sports radio host.
Well,
I did. I overthrew Tyreek, which I didn't know was possible. So, but he took off and he was gone. If I hit him in stride, it was a 99-yarder.
Well, where is he from? Because that is a Cajun dude, and the guy I saw playing for the Kansas City Chiefs was not a Cajun dude. Like, where is Mahomes from? What's that accent?
He went to Texas Tech.
Yeah, he's from Tyler, Texas. He'll end up living in Canton, Ohio, but right now, he's born in Tyler, Texas.
So
Patrick McCall of fame.
That's Texas. That's Texas that's a twang.
Well, no, in his, there's a tang in his voice and a frog in his throat, no doubt.
He has to cough.
Yeah.
But he sounds, let me hear that again, because I'm trying to figure out what this sounds like. Let me hear this again.
I did. I overthrew Tyreek, which I didn't know was possible. So, but he took off and he was gone. If I hit him in stride, it was a 99-yarder.
All right, I don't know what that voice is. What I do know is that's not the voice of 10 touchdowns to start the season. That is not the voice of the best start to a season in the history of throwing football.
Is it possible that he just has, like, strep throat or something, and this isn't what he sounds like normally?
I did.
But he sounds like Les Miles. He sounds like an old man is part of the thing that's confusing here.
I did.
How old does that person sound? If I tell you this person, if I give you no more information other than this, close your eyes, everybody, close your eyes, and I give you no more information than this, and I just say, Go ahead.
I did.
How old is that person? You're not going to say a rookie.
I did.
It's jarring, man. 62 years old.
So we've got some distinctive voices around here. We've got Ed Orgeron. We've got Andrew Luck. Are you ready, Guillermo, to put Mahomes in here? Are you willing? Because this is elite territory here. Is Mahomes worthy? Is he excellent enough, and is his voice weird enough for that to be a repeatable sound on this show?
Sure. I mean, whatever. Yeah.
All right, $2. Get out of here. All right, good work at the microphone as always. Good, that's good.
$2, 2 minutes. Is that what you get?
Yeah, just get out of here. Like, good, rising executive. Way to go.
You sold the idea into us.
You sold the idea. You come in here. Listen to how that bit died on your lap, Guillermo, as if you've never done radio before.
Make it seem like we have some actual pantheon of voices. It's not real. It's fake. It's not a thing.
I did.
Get out of here. Do you forget that we're doing a radio show together? And that listen, I'm going to retrace the steps for the audience so they just see the magnitude of your incompetence. Get out of there. I will let
He doesn't need you here for this.
I don't need you to be here. Just go sit in the other room. I want them to understand how incompetent you are.
I did.
Go ahead, explain it.
During the break, Guillermo influenced the show by planting in my head the direction to go, which was, here's how Patrick Mahomes sounds. Do you know what he sounds like?
I did.
And we're going down that path with him, and I throw it to him, and he just checks out on the entire bit. What's the beginning of Luck? Can you mix the beginning of Luck with the beginning of Mahomes there? Because Luck has sort of, what is it, like training wheels to get started on a thought. Andrew Luck, if he is asked a question because his lips are sedated, and just his lips, right? Andrew Luck kind of talks as if he's been Novocaine, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Roy and I established that he starts up and it sort of sounds like an Australian didgeridoo.
But I like that.
Always looking for Jack.
Half his mouth is always numb. I love that.
Right? It's just before press conferences, they shoot some Novocaine into his lower lip.
Absolutely. I'm always looking for Jack Doyle.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Dan Le Batard.
Hey, gravy vampire.
I'll stop laughing at these. I'm sorry.
Gravy vampire is good, right?
Stugotz.
I don't even know what it means exactly. Like, what am I doing? Am I just showing up while you're eating gravy and I wait for you to consume it and then I attack your neck so I can get the gravy as it goes down?
You suck the gravy out of people.
Right, okay, but I wait. I just hang out at like Golden Corral waiting for people to put extra gravy. Like, how does this extraordinarily niche vampire work?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
Did you see that Zlatan goal this weekend? 500 goals. It was a spinning roundhouse Patrick Swayze kick. It was crazy. I've never seen a goal scored that way. Yeah, to be on the attack, ball in front of you, and then just spinning roundhouse kick it like an action hero.
Sounds cool. I was watching football.
Time now for Stugotz's weekend observation.
Real football.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Vivid Seats. Need game tickets? Find your seats at Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. Enter promo code ESPN at checkout and receive 10% off your order today. Vivid Seats. Dan, the Buffalo Bills are bad, but amazingly, they are not as bad as the Arizona Cardinals. Headline, Mayweather says Pacquiao rematch is coming this year. Headline should read, Floyd needs money. Fans of not having boring teams in the Final Four, the Stanford loss is coming. I promise. Urban Meyer, I'm sorry. You are gross. What happened there? What happened there?
I mean, you're not really sorry. You can't say, I'm sorry, you're gross.
All right, Urban Meyer, no apologies here. You are gross. What's the big to-do about Vontae Davis? I mean, the rest of the Bills retired in the second quarter. Wisconsin. Wasn't a matter of if, just when. 11 carries, 28 yards. Saquon Bustley. Must be pretty frosty in Lincoln. Deshaun Watson. Flash in the pan. Willie Taggart. Hope you are renting. Fans of not having an annoying coach, school, and fan base in its Final Four. The Notre Dame loss is coming. I promise. Fans of not having a coach with a mullet in the Final Four. The Oklahoma State loss is coming. I promise. It cost Arkansas $1 million to lose at home to North Texas. North Texas, win-win. Joe Burrow, gutsy. Jacksonville, do it in the AFC Championship game. Nothing makes me happier than smug Gus Malzahn, all smart on the sidelines with his fancy offense, his fancy glasses, and his fancy Apple Watch, getting beat by a man who is yet to say a single thing that I understand. Report. John Gruden, Reggie McKenzie, headed for split. Wonder who's leaving. John Gruden, preacher of accountability, blaming everyone else and not being accountable. John Gruden, the Stugotz, is strong in you. New York Jets, you moved up in the draft to get him. Trust him. Todd Bowles said he needs 100 starts to know if he has a quarterback in Sam Darnold. Todd, 100 starts? You won't be around for his 17th start. Kyler Murray, make sure to fax in your credit score and background check to the Heisman House. For the second consecutive week, Minka was the second best Fitzpatrick to play in the NFL. That guy Minka is good, though,
yes,
man.
He is. Yes, he is.
But not as good as Ryan. Herm Edwards, bust. Want to know what football looks like? It looks like Auburn and LSU. Blaine Gabbert, not terrible. Best thing in sports, the cocky, swaggering walk to the sidelines after a touchdown pass by Phillip Rivers, especially in a blowout. You ever see that guy in a blowout? He is the most confident, cocky quarterback I've ever seen, and I love him. He deserves better. Kirk Cousins, worth every guaranteed penny. Sam Darnold, that was a great pass to Xavier Howard. Unfortunately, he's not on your team. I hate them. Jets, I'm begging you, please get Josh Gordon. Des Bryant, Cleveland Browns, collision course. Drew Brees, done. Tevin Coleman can scoot. What happened there? He's done. Tevin Coleman can scoot. NFL, we're never going to stop calling them the San Diego Chargers. Just move them back already. I got a feeling it's the Vikes year. Fine. Andy Reid's a good coach. I'll admit it. But I don't care what anyone tells me. What he's holding on the sidelines is a laminated copy of the Waffle House menu. Really amazing when you think about it. Michael Thomas might be the best wide receiver in football, and football is his second best skill behind sex. The last time J.J. Watt had a sack, Sully was number one at the box office. Jameis Winston, clipboard, collision course. Drew Brees, or Breeze, is back. 33 of 46, 292 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Ladies and gentlemen, the Alex Smith experience.
Wait a minute.
What happened there?
Yeah, you dared Andy Reid. You dared him.
I did, and Andy Reid took me up on my dare, and he was right. And listen, it just dawned on me, the reason Alex Smith had those good years was because of Andy Reid.
It just dawned on you.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, we were trying to tell you that for 5 years.
Anyway, the Alex Smith experience. Meanwhile, 23 of 28, 326 yards, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Patrick, Mick Hall of Fame. At around 4:09 yesterday, I think my eyeballs fell out of my head.
Do you think there's a C in Mahomes' last name? It's my Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame.
At around
Holmes.
At around 4:09 yesterday.
Also, it's Xavier Howard.
All right. At 4:09 yesterday, what did I do with, you're right, my Hall of Fame? What am I doing there? Why am I making Kevin McReynolds? Weird. Anyway, Patrick, my Hall of Fame. At around 4:09 yesterday, I think my eyeballs fell out of my head. At around 4:11 yesterday, I think I was high, and it wasn't from marijuana. Holy bleep. That witching hour was amazing. If you don't think the Browns are going to make a move at kicker, you must be insane. Juju Smith-Schuster. What? I had a feeling that was a good joke.
I like that.
Oh! Juju Smith-Schuster feasted on the Chiefs. Good time with Yom Kippur coming up. Have an easy fast, Juju. Same to you. Tariq Cohen. Jacksonville Jaguars. Statement game. Broncos are 2-0, and I have no idea if they are good. Same with the Dolphins and the Bucks. Football. Final season for Dwayne Wade. Gonna have to go to a game and see him not get back on defense one last time. Why is Mookie Betts playing meaningless regular season baseball? This Saturday, Urban Meyer will be standing on the sidelines, coaching the Ohio State Buckeyes. Jim Tressel was fired for tattoos. How we doing? Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
You snuck it past me. It was the rare, subtle Art Briles thing.
Dollar bills, y'all. Dollar bills, y'all.
Hell we doing? Caught me off guard. That's right, though. That's how that happens. Stugotz isn't making that up. Trestle, sweater vest, get out of here. Tattoos. Urban Meyer's still out here begging anyone to hear why he wasn't suspended for 3 games. Why he shouldn't have been suspended for 3 games.
Tressel won a national championship.
Tattoos, one's going to be back next week, and the team's totally overwhelming. They didn't even need him. They won by an average score of 1,000 while he was out.
Mm-hmm. Don Le Batard.
I have to have a testicular ultrasound. How does this work? What do I have to do with whom? Into the room walks a bear of a man. He's been dealing with testicles for damn near 3 decades. I'm terrified.
Stugotz.
I have to get on my back, throw my legs up in the air. No. Where's my left hand go? Yeah, I need to cup my package. I'm saying to myself as I'm doing this, it can't get worse than this. He looks me straight in the eye for the first time. We're about to get started. And he says, I am such a big fan of your TV and radio shows. Dude, that's the time you choose to tell me that.
But you're laughing?
I am laughing. I'm also mystified. I'm vulnerable. I'm still scared.
It sounds like he had a ball.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So Mike Ryan and Stugotz were whispering under their breath during the break. Kirk Cousins is good.
Yeah, really good. But that's a perfect fit. Kirk Cousins, because the Jets had offered him more money, reportedly, and Kirk Cousins never left Minnesota, didn't visit New York because he liked the area. He did his research, and he liked that team. So I think that's a good fit for that team because that team already had all the pieces. The Jets sign him. What the Jets have now is a quarterback on a rookie contract, and they can put pieces around him for the next 4 seasons.
The Vikings did that. That's why they did it. They knew they were a piece away, $90 million, and they knew they needed an upgrade at quarterback, and they did get an upgrade at quarterback. But they should have lost that game yesterday. They should have lost because that Clay Matthews rule in the new NFL is just bogus. It's ironic that the rule is there because the league just didn't want Aaron Rodgers to get injured anymore. They didn't want to lose Aaron Rodgers. It's too much of a commerce center. It's an economy that goes to the sidelines, so you can't allow a body that's 300 pounds to land on it anymore. That's a Packer rule. They lost, or they tied yesterday. They didn't win the game yesterday because of a rule that's in place specifically because their quarterback got hurt.
I actually, like everyone, I thought it was that new rule, the body weight rule, the Aaron Rodgers rule, and apparently it wasn't because of that. It was a rule that's always existed where you lift the quarterback up and then slam him down. Either way, it still didn't look like like anything I've never seen before in the NFL. That's always a hit.
The last 2 weeks, and this is weird when you arrive in this place in the NFL, The last 2 weeks, Clay Matthews has been penalized for 2 hits that make you know who Clay Matthews is in the first place. The way that he plays, those 2 hits are the reason that Clay Matthews is somebody you know. And those 2 hits have always been legal at any time, rule book or no rule book, semantics, whether subjective officiating or not. Those 2 hits by Clay Matthews were perfectly legal football hits, and you're changing the outcomes of games at the end because of this.
Well, Clay said himself that the week 1 hit with the new rules, he knew he was going to get flagged, and that was on him. He said yesterday's was egregious, and it was. I mean, if you watched it, it was just a terrible call.
Not only that, but on top of that, though, the Packers would have won the game if Aaron Rodgers simply hadn't slipped with that bad leg on a bootleg that he just tripped and fell. It's a play he converts 999 out of 1,000 times.
But also, the Vikings, while they definitely should have lost that game, they also definitely should have won that game. Dan Carlson was 0 for 3 and terrible clock management skills. Go for the touchdown in the end, too. So many things have to go right for a field goal kick.
Well, let's talk about the kickers for a second, because Tom Haberstroh, who you may know from football, he's a football nerd. Maybe you know him. I'm sorry, from basketball, excuse me. A basketball nerd. He's a guy who has introduced us to advanced metrics around here. What happened? You want to start again?
Almost had you on a fine there.
All right, let's do it again. Ready? Haberstroh, he's a football nerd.
That's a fun.
Oh, that's it? That's all you wanted to do?
Yep. $5.
Okay. So you were too slow, so you were frustrated.
We were all upset, everyone. Everyone was very upset.
All right.
But,
He's a basketball dork, and he went on the Interceptable podcast, and he's livid. He's livid about something that's become a part of the game that maybe you don't even think about. For example, maybe you don't think how ridiculous it is that $1 billion sports industry is still measuring with chain links and old guys. Maybe you don't think that that's ridiculous because it's the only way you've ever seen it happen. So you're like, okay, that's the way that should be. Maybe you don't think it's ridiculous that none of these teams go for it on 4th and inches because they're all terrified and all these tough guy coaches aren't actually brave. But this is something that perhaps you don't think about because Tom Haberstroh is as angry as I've ever heard him about this.
I'm out on kickers, not just in fantasy football. I'm out on kickers in the NFL at all. Get rid of them. It's insane. It's blasphemous to have these soccer players playing in an American football game where you have Khalil Mack and Aaron Rodgers battling it out for a game, and then you bring out Martin Gramatica to come out and kick the game-winning field goal. It's madness. Game 6, NBA Finals, the Warriors versus the Cavs. It's 91-88. There's 3 seconds left, and the Cavs need to score 3 points. All right, let's bring out their swimmer off the bench. He's got to swim as many meters in 3 seconds to see who's going to win this game. Ready? Go. All right, he jumps into the water, and it's great. LeBron James is watching him. Great stride by the swimmer. LeBron James jumps up. It's good. Yes. The game is over. The Cavs have won because a swimmer did something totally different than the actual game that we've been watching for the past 48 minutes.
It's not a terrible idea.
I'd watch that.
So would I.
Honestly.
Haberstroh is on to something here.
Are you guys not confused? Mike Florio has said on the Pro Football Talk podcast.
Pardon My Take.
Oh, the Pardon My Take podcast. That was almost a fine. Too bad. You're too slow today.
Yep. Do it again.
He has said that basically if you're confused by where football is at the moment because Clay Matthews made a hit last night or that is a normal hit that changed that entire game and ended up in a totally unsatisfying tie in that particular game because of a bogus call on Clay Matthews. But Florio is saying basically this is the way you have to think about it. The quarterback is now a kicker. You just can't tackle him anywhere except the navel. Like the only spot you're allowed to hit, and don't do it with your helmet. Do not do it with your helmet. but the only spot you're allowed to hit is his navel. It's the only place not governed by all the protective measures around an incredibly violent sport played by incredibly violent people.
Moving very quickly.
It's moving very fast, and they all have to be careful, and they have to make sure to hit the quarterback exactly in the place where it doesn't hurt him at all. Because basically we have arrived in a place that any time the quarterback is hit hard, you're like, that's a flag. That's a flag. That's not legal. It's been legal throughout time. Not anymore. It's not legal. You're not allowed to touch him. He should be wrapped in bubbles.
We've arrived at a place where Ryan Fitzpatrick is a Hall of Famer.
During the Saints-Browns game, there was a play where Tyrod Taylor was running for a first down, didn't slide for whatever reason, turned to his left and got absolutely rocked. But he was a runner, and I was just calling for a flag. And my friend, why do you want a flag there? What did he got hit hard?
That's right. You can't do that.
Hit him hard.
That's right. That's not allowed.
But he's a runner.
He's not a runner. He's a runner with a right arm. No.
You hit him too hard.
No, you can take out his legs. That's fine throughout the sport. Take out everybody's leg. But we need the arms. We need the 10 arms we've got to go 20 for 27 for 175 yards.
Don Le Batard.
I don't know if you actually respect Steve Aoki or not, but you came off like you didn't care for him at all.
Oh, I don't.
Stugotz.
I don't care for his music. I don't care for what he represents. I don't care about the genre. I don't care about the young people who like that genre. I think it's offensive and blasphemous that they have replaced the true musicians that do real art throughout the world. I think he's a sham stealing money, a professional thief.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I love this analysis, Stugotz. I've been getting it around here for about 15 years. This analysis, and I can't imagine much analysis more useless than this analysis. Packers could easily be 0-2. Yeah, and they could easily be 2-0, and every bleeping team in that league, except for 4 of them, you could say that about 6 games in, 12 games in. You could say they could easily be this if some things had just gone differently. It's the great secret sauce secret of the sport. You do realize it, don't you? The salary cap makes it so every team has to be 8-8. And then some of them
Get a bounce.
Yeah, some of them get a bounce and they're 11-5, and some of them don't. And then there are 2 that are Arizona and Buffalo. Cleveland won't get any of the bounces ever because they're cursed. And then 28 teams are in the mix.
The Packers have a point differential of 1. And they don't have a loss.
That's right.
The Browns have a point differential of just -3. They don't have a win.
That's right.
I mean, the Chiefs could easily be 0-2. The Chiefs could easily be 0-2.
That sport is so funny, man.
It's awesome.
So Steve Smith is also funny, and he doesn't seem to like Michael Irvin very much. Now, Steve Smith is somebody who has said that he doesn't Steve Smith doesn't like being a media member, says he's not a media member, even though, Steve, you are now a media member. And you're a media member who doesn't mind going after Michael Irvin, and doesn't mind going after Michael Irvin in a way that feels the rare time that Michael Irvin doesn't look terribly comfortable being razzed by Steve Smith, who you never know when he's going to punch you in the face.
Yeah, this is not their first interaction. There's a history there of uncomfortable and awkward moments on the NFL Network. This was during their pregame coverage, and yet again, another uncomfortable situation.
Hold on a minute. Should we set it up with the first one? Wasn't it Michael Irvin was making fun of Steve Smith's attire, right? I think that's where the first one started. They seem to have a genuine tension among each other. When I say they seem to have a genuine tension, I mean Steve Smith seems to have a genuine tension with Michael Irvin, and Michael Irvin seems to be avoiding that general tension.
I think Michael Irvin has found someone who's maybe a bit crazier than he is, who can out-talk him as well.
Well,
yes.
I don't know whether there's any out-talking Michael Irvin, but there is some out-punching him in the face. And that's always the fear with Steve Smith. I told you, when Steve Smith and Talib fought on the field, I felt physical fear in my home. When Talib and Steve Smith, I'm watching this, I'm like, I shouldn't be watching this on television. I was afraid someone was going to walk in. I'm watching a dirty thing.
You lock your door?
Yeah, I should. Like, this is the dirtiest right here, Steve Smith and Talib.
Put the kids to bed?
There's a headline from a Carolina Panthers blog, And the headline is Panthers, Steve Smith punches teammate ... again.
Yes, there it is.
Yep.
So yeah, he's the guy who is not to be trifled with. You're that great at that position, at that size. You are not someone in that violent sport. You are not someone to be trifled. It is the age-old argument of rings versus production. I can't believe that we've been at this so long. Michael Irvin has told us. We've had these conversations with both Michael Irvin and Steve Smith, both of them, where we're asking them the specifics of, would you rather have 12 catches for 150 yards in a regular season loss, or would you rather have 2 catches for 10 yards in a win? And both of them, when most honest, tell you that they want the catches in a loss. Michael Irvin went so far as to say that during the Super Bowl on an audible, Alvin Harper caught a long touchdown, and Michael Irvin, that pass was supposed to be to him. Michael Irvin chased him down the field, yelling during a Super Bowl, "That's my touchdown." During a Super Bowl. So we have talked to both of these guys about selfishness and winning, and Steve Smith probably was a better receiver than Michael Irvin during a different time when Troy Aikman wasn't throwing 20 touchdown passes in a season, and they just kept handing the ball off to Emmitt Smith. Troy Aikman's numbers, you look at them, they are nothing special, and they're going to get dwarfed in the passing age. People are not even going to be able to explain Troy. Troy Aikman's going to feel like Bradshaw does in about 20 years. Bradshaw feels now like a caretaker. Not a gunslinger, a caretaker for a great franchise. That's what Aikman's going to look like in 20 years when you start stacking up the stats and you realize that Troy Aikman, in fact, I bet you guys can find someone funny in today's game that would represent Troy Aikman's career numbers, because Steve Smith's are better than Michael's.
So Aikman had 32,942 career passing yards. His high for a season, just to kind of highlight what Dan's talking about here, is 3,445 yards. That's his high for a season. Troy Aikman's considered one of the best quarterbacks to ever play football.
And he was over 20 touchdowns in a season how many times? Once? Or was he at 20 one time? One time at 20, at exactly 20, not 21.
No, he had 23 one season. That's the only season he went over 20.
Think about that for a second.
165 for his career.
I mean, Troy Aikman, we're going to look back on that like Bob Greasy handing off or throwing the ball 7 times in a Super Bowl.
I'm looking at Andy Dalton's career right now. He has a better completion percentage than Troy Aikman, and he's already surpassed him in touchdowns.
Mike, I'm telling you, when I'm watching on Sundays, the precision I'm watching on Sundays, the pass that Kirk Cousins threw to tie that game, in between 2 converging defenders on a double team, the precision that you're watching on Sundays, I think, Mike, if I put a 90s football game on the television, I feel like if I tell her, do you think I'm right about this? If I take even one of those guys like Dan Fouts and I put this game on television in the 80s or 90s, that we're going to be looking at it and saying, my God, these quarterbacks are so imprecise, because we've gotten so used to these quarterbacks throwing into these absurd windows where a 6'7" guy, you're throwing to his back shoulder. That's not how guys were covered 40 years ago. You had guys running all over the field wide open.
You can objectively look at these stats and say Andy Dalton is a better quarterback than Troy Aikman, who was a Hall of Famer. Better touchdown interception ratio, has already surpassed him in touchdowns. Better completion percentage? What's just rings?
Yes, it's rings. It's that Andy Dalton has never won a playoff game.
Ryan Fitzpatrick has more touchdown passes than Troy Aikman.
$1 bills, yo. $1 bills, yo.
That's mainly a career backup.
A career backup. That's crazy.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Dan Le Batard.
On the reg. Popping it out.
On the reg.
Why were you doing that?
That's how we talked, Dan.
Who's the we that we talk this way?
Young people like Sue and me.
Yep.
Slang. LOL.
Tell him, Greg.
Stugotz.
Look at Greg Cody trying to get into the hipster conversation
LOL.
with an LOL.
Right. ICYMI. I just said LOL.
SMH.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Mike Ryan came in here and just stuck his head in here and just announced the Steelers are falling apart and then fled the room.
He's right.
He also was feeling very good about himself because, and good and bad about himself. We can say this is true. Mike Ryan got this one right. He said he was about to put in the weekend observations as part of the crafting of the weekend observations that Antonio Brown's angry tweet in 3, 2, 1. And Antonio Brown was targeted 5,000 times on Sunday as a continually washed skyscraper. Ben Roethlisberger runs out of the pocket. He should have men on scaffolds cleaning the side of him as he runs toward the sidelines toward washed. And Le'Veon Bell cackles with a monocle. And Antonio Brown is sitting here saying, please throw the ball 400 times to me for 60 yards. That's not my fault. That's Ben's fault.
So the Antonio Brown tweet is here. Okay, it took a day. He got all those targets and yet I think under 70 yards receiving in a game that was an absolute shootout. He listened to someone by the name of Ryan Scarpino on Twitter tweeted at Antonio Brown, AB needs to thank his lucky stars because he got drafted by a team that had Ben, and Ben got AB paid. You know darn well he wouldn't put up those numbers for other teams. Antonio Brown saw this tweet, retweeted with comment, trade me, let's find out.
Falling apart.
That's where falling apart came from?
Yeah.
All that and
Le'Veon Bell,
Pouncey, all these teammates criticizing Le'Veon Bell not reporting. This is a team that's winless right now that many had going far in the AFC playoffs, and it is all falling apart. And now they have to go to Tampa Bay, prime time, Monday Night Football against FitzMagic to save their season.
I mean, that's a daunting
that
task,
right
is it
there.
not?
If that isn't for all time the thing you do between week 2 and week 3, as the Steelers inevitably are going to win that division the way they always win that division.
Not so fast, my friend. They're falling apart.
Bengals 2-0.
That's
Yep,
right.
they're
Listen
good.
to me. They asked me after that Thursday night game on Highly Questionable, they asked me about the Bengals. Do you believe in the Bengals? And I'm like, look, you've asked me this question for 15 years. I've been right every year about the Bengals being what the Bengals are, which is never going to win anything.
And every year I fall for it.
Every year. The only thing that I've gotten wrong about the Bengals in 15 years is I said there's no way they extend Marvin Lewis again, right? And then, boom, the next day they extended him.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Bengals are totally good with this league that legislates. It's in the rules. I don't know if you guys know it. Mort reported it the other day. Everybody's got to be 8-8. Everyone. You're all 8-8.
But seasons are on the line next week. It generally starts in week 3. You actually had a little bit last night. Last night, Cowboys and Giants, they were putting up a stat, Mike, where if you start 1-1, you have a 40-some-odd% chance of making it to the playoffs. You go 0-2, it's a 10% chance.
Yeah,
I mean, the Giants
But what if you're
on the line.
What if you're 0-1-1 though? Like the Steelers.
I haven't heard about that
math.
yet.
Yeah, you can't legislate every team going 8-8 when you got ties now, man.
Right.
You got ties everywhere. There's a season on the line tonight, Monday Night Football. Seattle, Chicago, one team starting their season 0-2. Who will it be?
Two in the mixers, Seattle and Chicago. We don't know quite what either of them are. They are 6-10, or maybe they're 10-6. Nope, they're 8-8.
Yep. There's always a season on the line, though, man. There is.
Here's what you know about tonight. Russell Wilson's going to be spiraling in the backfield trying to run away from Khalil Mack, and he's going to be doing those rollouts, and Khalil Mack's just going to keep jumper teleporting in front of him.
Yes or no, Doug Baldwin has a doctorate in route running.
Right now, Doug Baldwin has an injury, and Keenan Reynolds, the old Navy quarterback, is, I believe, the starting slot receiver.
Really? Is that right?
Yeah.
I loved his work at Navy.
I think
He was fun to watch.
I think he's like, he might lead the Seahawks in receiving tonight. They are a mash unit.
What do you do with 1-1 versus 1-1 in week 3? Seasons are not on the line there. It's just 0-2 versus 0-2, correct?
Man, let me get past tonight. I can't even reconcile what we do with 1-1 versus 0-1-1 on Thursday.
Okay, that's fair. Giants-Texans are both 0-2. They play in week 3. Seasons and jobs are on the line.
Elimination game.
Yeah.
Don't even, loser does not get to have their helmet in the hunt graphic.
The greatest shame you could bestow upon any football team in the modern era is do not allow their helmet near the "in the hunt" graphic on television.
You have to be really bad to not be in that graphic.
There are 3 teams right now. 3 teams. Buffalo, Arizona, everyone else is in the hunt. I love the symbolic juxtaposition tonight of how cutthroat and cold that sport can be, because you're marveling at the idea that 8 or 10 teams would line up for Josh Gordon. How about this in terms of what's happening in Seattle as their entire blueprint combusts and Sports Illustrated and ESPN are thundering in to report of all the dysfunction in the locker room? This is a thing that actually happened to the Seahawks. And you should stop forevermore with what I'm about to tell you, making that a moral business or pure in any way. This is what happened. The Seahawks had a marvelous story. A guy I love who plays for them, he plays linebacker for them. He has one hand. He's a marvelous story. We've been following him here for years, since he was 0-12 at the University of Central Florida. And then he goes with one hand. He kills the combine. His brother plays for the Seahawks, and he gets the starting job in week 1. And he misses the tackle because he's got one hand. And the Seahawks sign a guy at his position who is being charged with insider trading. They're like, you can't miss it with the hand. If that hand could be, you got to have a hand. It could be signing bad checks. Right. That hand can be partaking in insider trading. That hand, but you got to have the hand that makes the tackle.
Correct.
It's okay if what also gets there is charges of insider trading. Just make the tackle with both of your hands.
But Pete, he might go to jail, but he's got 2 hands.
That's okay, as long as he is free enough to be outside of the bars and tackle. You can't have him until he's behind bars. He's mine until then. That's right. That's basically where we are in football, right? And it's not even like this is Lawrence Taylor we're talking about.
Michael Kendrick.
That's right. But it's better. We think it gives us a better chance this week than the linebacker with one hand. We're going to go with the guy who's an insider trader, who thought it was like totally okay to turn tens of thousands of dollars into hundreds of thousands of dollars over 5 months.
What's wrong with that?
Demand wants more money.
Funniest thing from the sports weekend is coming up next here. Funniest thing from the sports weekend.
I'm so bad at this now. It's in my head.
This has not happened. Mike usually hits that when we have a commercial. He has done 3 consecutive shows where we don't have a commercial here, and he hits that sound, and I know it's driving him crazy.
I've got the yips. I'm like Vontae Davis. I want to quit at halftime. This is absurd. Damn it.
Funniest thing of the sports weekend next.
Dan Lebatard.
Why do people still use yellow highlighters, pink highlighters, purple highlighters, blue highlighters, green highlighters, orange highlighters? Why are people using yellow highlighters?
Marlins fans, this is our year! Another one!
I love DJ Khaled. He's so dope.
Stugotz.
We the best! This is what I do. I yell!
Fire emoji. Fireworks. Flames. Boom.
Derek Jeter! I made him a New Yorker! Marlins fans, I don't have much else than this!
We probably shouldn't have broke 10 minutes early last segment. Really threw off the clocks here. Now we have to fill for another 15 minutes.
Another one.
This is the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We have the funniest thing from the sports weekend to get to. Billy has in front of him right now, because Billy is consuming sports at a rate that is gluttonous. What did I just see on your computer back there? Why are there bowl game projections?
Oh man, Dan. Week 3, Kyle Bonagura and Mitch Sherman have their bowl projections out for week 3.
Woof.
You want to know where a team's going to go according to Kyle or Mitch, you let me know. I'll tell you where they're going.
They're doing bowl projections after week 3?
Oh, yeah, this is the 4th update. They did preseason, then after week 1, after week 2.
Good. I was going to say they waited that long, but good. They've been doing them since.
Yeah.
Did you say bowl predictions or bold predictions?
No, bowl projections.
College football bowl games.
You want to know who's going to the Belk Bowl? I'll let you know.
Yes, who's going to the Belk Bowl?
All right, hold on. I need to find the Belk Bowl.
Okay, you'll let me know later? That's what you mean?
All right, I got it right here. Who do you want, Sherman or Bonagura? Belk Bowl after week 3, Dan. Very important.
You want Sherman? I want Bonagura. I mean, it sounds like a football name.
You know what? I'm going to give you both.
What? They've got different projections for the Belk Bowl?
They're different people, Dan. Of course they do. So Sherman said that the Belk Bowl is going to be Virginia Tech versus South Carolina.
Whoa, that's a good game for the Belk Bowl. Yeah, they'd love that.
Now Bonagura said it's going to be South Carolina.
Whoa,
they both got South Carolina
versus Duke.
Must champion them boys.
Wow. Sleep on Duke. Duke's been impressive this season.
Mm-hmm. Cutcliffe.
You want to know playoffs? They got the playoffs too. If you want the playoffs.
Ooh, yeah. Who's in the playoffs?
So there's 2 semifinal round games, obviously.
Orange Bowl and Cotton Bowl, right?
Yes, the Cotton Bowl and the Orange Bowl. The Cotton Bowl, Sherman has Alabama versus Oklahoma, where Bonagura has Alabama versus Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl.
Whoa! As a semifinal.
That's semis. Those are the semis.
Alabama, Ohio State semifinal.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Cotton Bowl. Now, hop over to the Orange Bowl. Bonagura has Clemson versus Oklahoma. So he has Clemson, Oklahoma, Alabama, Ohio State in his Final Four. Sherman in the Orange Bowl has Clemson versus Ohio State. So he has Alabama, Oklahoma, Clemson, and Ohio State in his Final Four.
Wow.
Exact same Final Four, guys.
$2.
What?
You want national championship? I'll give it to you. Bonagura, Alabama versus Clemson. What? Sherman, Alabama versus Clemson.
No way.
So what everybody's predicting. Okay, very good. Maybe Ohio State sneaks in there. You guys, wait a minute. You guys think someone's beating Alabama this year? That's funny. That's funny. They're going on the road winning SEC games by 60.
Really disappointed they allowed 7.
Like, why? I mean, I really do feel like the NCAA should step in and ban their quarterback. Like, that the only way it gets to be fair is if Alabama's playing everyone else without a quarterback.
But if they go back to Hurts, that guy lost 1 game in 2 years.
I understand, but it makes it slightly more fair.
There should be a rule that they're forced to play Jake Coker. They won a national title with Jake Coker at quarterback. Jake Coker is the floor from here on out.
You can't give Alabama a good quarterback. You can't.
It's unfair. You're right.
People need to step in. There needs to be laws. There needs to be Supreme Court justices nominated based on this.
Not only a good one, maybe the best in college football.
I mean, I'm used to Alabama's going to, their defense is going to strangle you because they got 11 man monsters on one side of the ball. And they'll just gut it out with a running back who's 30 years older than everyone else and 30 pounds heavier than everyone else. But you throw a quarterback in the mix, too. And the last thing he did last season was only win the national championship with the last pass that he threw.
After never playing.
Goes into the game. And I got second and third, fourth. What is this? Third and long for the season? Sure. I'll just give you a 40-yard pass. Here's a touchdown. Then I'll take Jalen Hurts' job, even though he never loses.
He has 8 touchdowns and no interceptions, a rating of 233.3.
This is, it's getting to not fair. Or it's already been, it's not getting there. We're there. We are at not fair, where LSU is feeling good about itself because it goes into Auburn and wins by a point. And LSU is like, yeah, we got a good team, which won't be a good team the moment you face that team and its quarterback.
Now LSU gets them at home. They do. They get them at home this year. It doesn't matter.
Ole Miss had them at home.
Doesn't matter. What am I talking about?
I mean, when do you see SEC games won that way? Like, my guess is that Mississippi was really fired up all week about the idea of we're going to have Alabama comes to town and we're going to be the 1 week that football is random for Alabama that everyone needs. And even if they lost that game, they still would have climbed their way back in without winning the conference because they would have beaten everyone else by 60 points.
Ole Miss is a team that's beaten them twice here in recent years. They probably feel good. They're coming down to our house. They're not getting out of the Grove.
28-7 after a quarter.
I mean, but they're turning SEC schools into Savannah State.
And look at how he uses up these players. They always had the running back that's way too big for their position. They used to just crap out in the NFL after a couple of years. Bo Scarborough got waived. He didn't even make it past the preseason.
They were up 49-7 at the half, and at half had totaled 516 yards.
Time now for the funniest thing from the sports weekend.
Hey, people, tell us what in the sport made you laugh hardest this weekend. It is a segment we call What Made You Laugh This Weekend. Ha ha ha!
Funniest thing from the sports weekend is brought to you by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Chris, what do you got? What's the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
During the Jets-Dolphins broadcast on CBS, Rich Gannon said Ryan Tannehill got better last season watching Jay Cutler play.
Like, got better medically faster when he realized he was needed more. Guillermo, what do you got?
You guys have heard of the turnover chain, right?
Yes.
This weekend, Oregon State introduced us to the turnover chainsaw.
Oh, I get it.
It's amazing.
What is it?
It's a chainsaw they give when you get a turnover.
Yeah. Okay.
Turnover chainsaw,
It's
Dan.
a toy chainsaw, right?
It can't be real, right?
It probably just doesn't have like the teeth, the blades, I'm assuming. And if it does, even cooler.
Yeah, sort of like Halloween Horror Nights where they chase you with a chainsaw without the blades.
Roy, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
Vontae Davis retired at halftime during the Chargers-Bills game.
I mean, he got out of there. He was inactive week 1. He's got like some sort of guaranteed bonus that if he just shows up on the opening roster, he gets $5 million. And then he just walked out of the stadium at halftime.
Buffalo will do that to you, man.
Right? Like that. Vontae Davis, a cornerback who for this league has been very good, an above-average NFL cornerback, just decided to quit on the Bills. What do you got, Mike?
Florida State Seminoles.
Yeah. What about you, Stugotz?
Hours before the game, we were just talking about Ole Miss and Alabama. An Ole Miss newspaper published a column calling Nick Saban overrated.
I'm telling you, Mississippi was all fired up all week. People liquored up. They're like, this is the one. Saban's coming to town. And I know what'll get him, a newspaper column calling him overrated. That's what's going to make the mighty dynasty topple.
Blew the dust off the bulletin board. Someone said something bad.
I'm going to go with Gene Steratore without a hat.
Dan Le Batard.
I would absolutely take down my own school as a journalist if I find out that there was financial aid problems. Are you kidding me? I'm not hiding that story.
I totally leveraged that information for money. Yeah,
Felony blackmail.
Yep.
Stugotz.
He's got to be the only radio personality in America who freely admits to, I'd commit crime. He's got to be. That's the niche.
You got the goods, man.
All the other spots have been taken. He's like surveying the landscape on where can I plant my flag.
I got this one.
Right. Nobody else wants this one. Why is there no one here? Wow, this looks like such a great land. I could just claim all fraud and crime.
Worked out well for me.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Rosie Perez told you last week, our boxing analyst, exactly what was going to happen this weekend in boxing. She told us, she says there's just strong talk around this fight that Canelo's going to win because they need to make it a trilogy. And that's exactly what happened. And so you got Teddy Atlas again, and we love having Teddy around here. We love having Teddy on the network. But again, Teddy, I am so tired of you getting up there after fights and saying like this was preordained, this was fixed, this was rigged. That we've got a situation where a boxer was bought for business, or the whole thing felt bogus. And so you're watching it, and what are you thinking?
I'm thinking the same thing you were saying. I mean, you think I want to be going up there? I just want to. It'd be a lot easier to just collect your check at the end of the week. And, I'm no hero or nothing, but I do have a platform, and this sport needs some kind of policing. It has no policing. It's the only major sport that has no national commission. The NBA, the MLB, NBA, NFL, I meant to say, they will have a national commission to take care of such things, to make sure that the integrity of the sport, if you will, is not tainted. And, again, I'm not the sheriff or anything, but I just figure that if I care about the sport, I care about the participants in the sport, I care about the fans, and I've been in the sport 40 years, and I've been working at ESPN for 22, and it's given me the privilege to have a platform where I can, if I decide to, I can say something about such things. And I feel that I have a little bit of a responsibility to do that.
But Teddy, I'm not kidding you, Teddy, though. I'm not kidding you. I've been hearing you say this for 22 years on ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's no national commission. There's nothing there. Listen, do I get tired of it? Yeah. Do I feel like it's all for naught? Yeah, I do sometimes. But then when I walk through, the casinos the other day when I was there covering the Fight Sports Center, and fans come up to me and they literally say, "Thank you. Keep fighting against the corruption of the sport." And sometimes that makes you think, well, maybe it's worthwhile. But there's other times when it sure as hell feels like it's all for nothing. It doesn't. It's like throwing a pebble into the ocean. It doesn't mean a damn thing. And I get you, and I understand that, and I feel that. And but I figure as long as I have maybe the privilege is the right way to say it, to be able to stand there and try to make a difference, a little tiny bit of a difference, I feel like maybe I should do that.
You're a hero, Teddy.
I'm sorry I have to do it.
You're a hero. Teddy has to do it. We need his heroism at a time like this. Now, what about
No, listen, all kidding aside, I know I'm not a hero, but, again, I'm lucky enough to be doing something that I truly care about, that I truly love. I get paid for it, and I could just go home, but I figure I have the opportunity to try to stem the tide a little bit. Try to, again, at the end of the day, it probably doesn't mean a damn thing, but it does mean that I understand that you can't complain about something. You can't feel a certain way against something, as I do with the policies of boxing, with the so-called administrators of boxing. You can't feel those things and be just about it if you don't say anything. So that's all. It's not about being a hero. It's about opening your freaking mouth because you have an opportunity and you feel that way.
But, Teddy, can't we mute the criticism of the judges a little bit? Because that was a fight that boxing needed. It was an electric fight. All action, all in the middle of the ring. Why aren't we talking about what an incredible fight?
You go do my job, and you can do whatever you want. But if you've been in the business for 40 years and you understand ahead of time that you can make a prediction that it's going to be a controversial decision, as I did, and you know where it's going to go, and you can make comments like follow the money, and it always goes that way, well, guess what? You're going to be prone to stand by what you understand and what you know. But what am I supposed to do? Put a stupid hat on? I mean, I know I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but put a stupid freaking hat on and say, hey, I'm going to mute it now. I'm not going to say nothing because it's good for boxing. Well, the other part's not good for boxing. You know how many fans out there feel the opposite way, that it wasn't good for boxing to see the wrong guy's hand get lifted? After a while, you don't want to go to a freaking movie if you know what the ending's going to be. You probably wouldn't go to the movie theater. Fans start to feel like, you know what? I know what they're going to do, and I'm getting tired of it. And a lot of fans feel that way. Yeah, it was good for boxing to fight. It always is. The stuff inside the rope is always good. But the outside stuff, should we ignore that? I don't think so.
What do you make of Mayweather saying he and Pacquiao are going to fight soon?
I think it's sad because Pacquiao needs the money, from what I understand. I'm not his accountant, but people that I trust, what they tell me, he needs the money, which is absurd. So I think that's sad. And I think Barnum and Bailey is going to be tested. That saying that he had, there's a sucker born every 2 minutes. That's going to be tested. That's going to be tested. Because a 42-year-old against a 39-year-old, one of the guys retired. You know what? It wasn't too exciting the first time. You want to see it again? I would. I love both guys. I love what they've done for the sport. What they've stood for the sport. The way that the fans have been able to appreciate what they've done in the ring over all those years, 2 decades maybe. But I don't want to see it again. I mean, you got guys like Spence in the welterweight division. You got guys like Crawford. You got guys like Porter. You got guys like Garcia. I mean, it's a great division. It hasn't been that good since the 80s when you had Leonard, Benitez, Hearns, Duran. You had all those guys fighting each other. The division is a great division. They're young, strong guys. I like to see those guys fight. It's their time. It's their turn.
Teddy, boxing is dead.
No, it's not.
It's dead, Teddy.
No, hey, listen. I'll give you this. Sometimes it's an event-driven sport. I'll give you that. And that scares me a little bit. But when it's an event, you see everyone come out. And as far as the global amount of money that it makes, I mean, it puts UFC, it puts other sports to shame.
But you got to be a little offended.
I mean,
you got to be
the money that was gross the other night. Are you kidding me?
Teddy, you got to.
You're going to say it's dead.
No.
And look at all the celebrities that came out the other night. They come out.
Teddy, the biggest fight in 10 years in your sport or 5 years in your sport is McGregor against Mayweather.
That's why, Teddy.
No, I understand what you're saying, guys. But that was an event. That was different. That's not indicative of boxing. You had a fight the other night, and it was a big fight, and it grossed a hell of a lot of money, and they were charging too much. They were charging $95, for the pay, and it still did big numbers. So the sport of boxing, you know what the problem is? The 80s was probably, in contemporary times, was probably the healthiest time for boxing. And the reason was 2 things. One, you had it on free network television, so you could identify with everybody, besides you didn't have to pay for it. And they all became, household names. But also because you had the best guys, the Durans, the Hearns, the Leonards, you had them fight each other. Now, when you do that, and you just did it, you had 2 of the best guys fighting each other, guess what? The sport thrives. The sport is relevant again. When you don't do it, it's not. I agree with you. But the sport is there. People are there behind the sport. The interest is there. But you have to do it the right way.
Teddy, always good catching up with you. Thank you for making the time, sir.
My pleasure, fellas.
Thank you, Teddy.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPN News.